Hi, my name is Carly Vieta. I'm here today to talk to you about the wave of people putting in work to normalize queer identity in our society and how you can be one of them just by listening. There have been a wave of people coming out, sharing their experiences through social media, in person, through publishing books, and I can guarantee that all of you have known queer people throughout your lives. And now, many of those people are bravely taking steps to normalize identity. We've all decided to take this public speaking class to connect with people. We do this by communicating with people, and that happens through understanding each other. As more and more voices are heard, you will probably hear many terms being used, like lesbian, panromantic, and demisexual. In a society where words are being built and our understanding of them is changing, as open minded individuals who want to support the people around us, we can help normalize queer identity in society by understanding the meaning of different words and the unity in others. So, I'm sure you've heard that gender and sexuality are different. Now, because of life experience and how much information there is to share on both topics, I will be talking today about sexuality by discussing modern terms for identity and their meanings. These words are about personal identity, not about the circumstances of a person's life. Knowing someone uses one of these words to describe themselves tells you nothing about their relationship history or personality. What it does tell you, though, is an important part of that person's inner truth that they have chosen to share with you. To understand that, it is important to know the accurate meanings of the words people currently use to identify themselves as. Um, so, these are not dictionary definitions, but they are currently correct definitions. So starting out with lesbian. Lesbian means non-men attracted to non-men. This is different um, from a person who is in a female-female relationship. Some people in female-female relationships are lesbian, but it is important not to label them as lesbian relationships. For example, a bisexual woman could be in a relationship with another woman, and her identity is still valid. Lesbian is an identity. Bisexual and biromantic are also identities. To be bi, you are someone who is attracted to two or more genders. So, a misconception is that bi means attracted to males and females, and that pan means attracted to males, non binary people, and female people. So, both of those are inaccurate, and here's why. The word bisexual is not meant to exclude people who are non binary. These words are meant to validate members of the community, not to put them into a box. We build words to describe the world around us, find understanding, and we do that by listening, learning, and growing as people. You are an individual person before you are a person in a relationship. And if you are in a relationship, you are still a unique individual with an identity. So, an example would be a heterosexual man who enters a relationship with a female person is still a man attracted to women, even if he doesn't want to be in a relationship with more than one person. His identity is valid even before he has ever been in a relationship. People who are bi don't owe the world evidence. They deserve equal social rights with heterosexual people. A person who is bisexual is still bi if they've never been in a relationship or have only been in a relationship with a person or people of one gender. Now, I mentioned pansexual and panromantic a minute ago. Being attracted to a person regardless of gender is what pan means. An important thing to remember about people who are pan is that they are not attracted to all people, just like heterosexual people are not attracted to all people of the opposite gender. Gender is a spectrum, and I will include visuals down below to help explain a scale, and if I can find some on how they connect to pronouns. And as well as gender, it's important to remember that gender is a social construct. Right now, I'm talking about modern English definitions, and it is important to remember that English is not the only um, language that exists with words that define gender, and it is American culture is not the only culture that exists. For example, Hindu culture has recognized a third gender for a very long time, as well as the people in society in Thailand and the indigenous people who lived here before America was colonized. If you would like more information on that, I don't have time to get into it right now, but if you would like to ask questions, I'd be happy to answer them with what I know. I also recommend looking into the book Queer History of the United States for Young People. As I was saying, language is complicated, and we do the best we can with the language that our community understands, which is one of the reasons why I chose this as my topic today. It is common for someone who's pan to have a preference to enter relationships with people of a certain gender. Life experience and personality play a big part in the type of people individuals choose as partners. That's true for people who are pan, and it's true for all people. And another thing that's important to remember is that people of all different ages and sexualities have different morals and comfort levels with relationships. Every person should have the right to not enter a relationship that they don't want to be in, and that's true for pan people as well as everyone else. The identity words that I'm sharing with you today are words that are validating, but they are imperfect. Sexuality itself is a spectrum, and so none of these words are meant to be a box that people are fitting or trying to fit other people into. They're meant to be words that create community and help to validate people. Now, moving on to the word queer. Queer is a word that describes sexual and gender identities other than straight and cisgender. Queer can be synonymous with the acronym LGBTQIA+, and the term Pride Community. Now, if you are not someone who is queer yourself, I recommend using the word Pride Community when referring to diverse groups of people if you are not queer yourself. It has the most positive connotation of the three, and it's a positive way to refer to diverse groups of people. Another thing about the Q in LGBTQIA+ is that it also stands for questioning. Many members of the Pride community have worked to reclaim the word queer. It's a word with a negative history, but now it's becoming a word that unites people. Being queer is an identity, just like all identities. It is important not to label people with this word unless they choose it themselves. Positive, so someone who might choose the word queer as an identity is someone who may be in love with someone who is transgender. So queer is a word that everyone defines for themselves, and it's also a word people use while they're questioning their own identity that lets them connect with people in their community. I also can provide queer history of the United States, particularly the word queer and the word homosexual, different words during World War II, as well as when the word started being used positively post-AIDS pandemic in the United States, when the term silence equals death was coined, and which is a big part of the reason why today we have access to these words and why I have the freedom to talk about it with you right now. So moving on to the word gay. The word gay is an identity, and it refers to people who are attracted to people of the same gender. A way to describe the word gay and how it relates to all the other words in the Pride community, um, and LGBTQIA plus, because gay used to be one of the only words that people had to describe themselves as queer, but it has now evolved to be just one of many. Um, so, in that light, some queer people are gay, but not all gay people. Sorry, some gay people are queer, but not all queer people are gay. Just as most lesbians are gay, but not all gay people are lesbians. Um, it's not the best way to remember, but the I'm sure you've been taught since you were learning shapes when you were in elementary school the term all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. This is very similar to lots of ways that things relate to each other in the world when words are concerned. Let's see. Moving on to the A in LGBTQIA plus. The A does not stand for ally, so it stands for asexual, aromantic, and agender. And I would love to include more information below. Um, this is the last letter I am defining today, but it is by no means the last word for different identities. If you would like to look into this more, there will be information listed down below. One thing I was asked to include, though, was the idea that having different emotions other than a different person would in a similar situation is completely natural in all circumstances and experiences. Um, and to wrap things up, people with any of these identities have the right to be in relationships that are healthy for them, or choose not to be, which is the same with all people. I'd like to thank you all for your time, and have a great day.